Greetings, fellow Space Marines. This is Mr. LND1, and for the Doom community, this is Alondo1. As many of you know, id Software had released Doom: The Dark Ages quite recently. In this video, I will be going over my thoughts and views of this new Doom game. As a disclaimer, I have not played the new Doom game, nor do I have the ability to play it in the first place due to the lack of hardware requirements. I will be giving my thoughts and views from the perspective of a longtime Doom fan who would like to get in on the fun, but is unable to. So I will be basing my views on the footage I had watched on various YouTube channels, including the trailer for the game. With that said, please take everything I say with a grain of salt. So without further ado, let us begin. Concept. My first impression when I first saw the trailer was that this new Doom game was like a strange mix between Doom, Quake, Heretic, Hexen, Painkiller, Serious Sam, Titanfall, and Spyro. There's a whole bunch of different themes that are all bunched together in a way that is both interesting and a little weird. This is one of my gripes with Doom Eternal, where there's a weird mix of artistic styles that don't blend well together. For example, if you look at the classic Doom games like Doom 1 and Doom 2, Doom 3, and Doom 2016, the art styles in each of them were consistent throughout their campaigns. In Doom Eternal, the art styles were mixed in such a way where it wasn't consistent at all. Some of the game had a Doom 2016 aesthetic, while other parts seemed more cartoony and inconsistent with each other. Dark Ages seems to be on a similar path, only this time really mixing up the themes and art styles. However, at least there's more consistency, so it wasn't as jarring to me. It is commonplace for id Software to give every game they produce a unique and different feel. However, sometimes I feel like they are really taking us on a wild ride, and one that is a bit unusual at times. Before I proceed, I do want to emphasize that I am not here to bash id Software or Doom: The Dark Ages. This is just my first impression of the new game. id Software is still an amazing game company that I've always enjoyed and respected over the years, and still do. With that said, let us proceed on. Premise. Dark Ages takes place between the end of Doom 64 and the beginning of Doom 2016. Personally, I don't consider Doom 64 canon. However, for the sake of this video, we'll say that it is, even though it isn't. Based on what has been shown, Doomguy will most certainly be going on quite the adventure. Players will have a variety of different battlefields to face off against the armies of Hellspawn, from basic levels with tight corridors to massive arenas and wide open battlefields. This new Doom game will most certainly test your mettle, or in this case, your heavy metal. Some have rumored that Doom: The Dark Ages was supposed to be a Quake reboot of sorts. I can definitely see how it would, considering the medieval and gritty industrial metal-esque vibes given off by the art style. By this point, id Software probably knows that the game that people want the most is a Doom game. Not Wolfenstein, nor Quake, just Doom. And for good reason, mainly because Doom is a very versatile game to work with. It's flexible and you can mold it into whatever you want. If the Doom community hasn't already proven that to you, considering how much of a wide variety of wads we all have to offer, then I don't know what will. Guns. It wouldn't be a Doom game if it didn't have some guns to blast away some demons with, right? After watching some of the videos showcasing some of the weapons, here's how I feel about them. Let's start with our trusty boomsticks. Whether it be the single barrel or double barrel, it seems like both of them are pretty cool. The regular shotgun is semi-automatic, and what I really like about this weapon is the sound design. It's a massive improvement over Doom Eternal shotgun. The sound of this weapon is much more believable, and it fits better. I mean, let's take a look at the shotguns in the newer Doom games, starting with Doom 2016, Doom Eternal, and Doom: The Dark Ages. As you can hear, Doom 2016 and Doom: The Dark Ages, the shotgun sounds fantastic. It sounds powerful. You can take it seriously. But Doom Eternal, I don't know what id Software was thinking. The sound of the shotgun in Doom Eternal, I think, was utter trash. It is terrible sound design in Doom Eternal. But with the Dark Ages shotgun, I love it. I love it. Now, for the Super Shotgun, it's an interesting design. It's now a lever action style shotgun, and after firing it, Doomguy twirls it around like the Terminator, with the 1887. It's pretty awesome, I have to admit. But most of all, the sound of the gun is beautiful. Also a massive improvement over Doom Eternal's. I mean, let's take a look at the sound examples right here. Okay, so we have Doom 2016. Here's Doom Eternal. And here's Doom the Dark Ages. Now, as you can hear the difference, Doom 2016, the double barrel sounded beautiful. It sounded powerful. You could take that gun seriously. You felt it. And then with Doom Eternal, I mean, the look of the gun is alright, but the sound, I just can't take it seriously. This is what the problem that I have with Doom Eternal's guns. A lot of them had terrible sound design, you know? But that's for another discussion. But let's look at Doom the Dark Ages double barrel right here. The sound is magnificent. It sounds like it gets the job done. It has a nice boom, you know? So, it's off where you did your homework. So I can definitely tell you folks, I can safely say that the shotguns get an A+ in my book. Really, really well done.
Nice.
Next is the Shredder, which is essentially the machine gun. Although, looking closer at its design, it seems more like a nail gun. Even though its firing sound is the same as the heavy cannon in Doom Eternal, however, it fits better with this gun. Then we have a stake gun, a la Painkiller. Nothing else to say about it, I think you get the point. All in all, these are pretty neat in their own way. Personally, I feel like they would fit Painkiller better, however, these weapons one can get used to over time. Next are the Skull Grinder weapons. These appear to be very popular based on people's reaction to them. It is pretty heavy metal, no doubt. However, personally, it fits Painkiller more, not so much Doom. As I mentioned before, the weird mix of art styles is strange and can be a bit jarring. However, these two guns one can get used to. The Skull Grinders seem to be a mix between a machine gun and a shotgun based on what has been shown in the video footage. Since there's very little difference between the two variations, personally I find it to be wasted potential. Yes, the firing rate and spread are the only differences between the two guns, but it seems like one is an upgrade over the other. The Ravager seems to be the upgraded version of the Pulverizer since it has a faster rate of fire and a tighter spread. Personally, I think what id Software should have done is approach this weapon the same way they did with the weapons in Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal, such as have replaceable attachments that can change the gun's behavior or abilities instead of having two separate guns that do just about the same thing. Although straightforward and reliable weapons, I guess it would be a no-brainer to use these nevertheless. Next are the plasma guns, and it appears they have some nifty-looking variations. The Accelerator is your base plasma gun with a nice look and sound, and believe me, I have no complaints. I like it. And for the other variant, the Cycler, it looks like the Quake Oscillator nail gun. It's an interesting design, however, it works. I think these two designs are really neat. I mean, I have no complaints at all. Now for the guns that make baddies go boom. I'll keep a long story short. Both the rocket launcher and grenade launcher are pretty awesome. Both the looks and sounds are fantastic. Really. I mean, take a listen to these bad boys right here. I mean, seriously, the rocket launcher not only looks good, but the sound of it is just so epically awesome. I mean, I have to admit, now, I always kind of said that the Doom 2016 rocket launcher was the best sounding rocket launcher. I think we have a close tie here with the Dark Ages one. I mean, the sound design for the rocket launcher right here, oh, it sounds like heaven when you're giving hell to these demons. Now, the grenade launcher also, the sound is very, very cool. Take a listen. Now, here's the thing. The grenade launchers, you usually think like Quake, right? You usually find them in the Quake games. But as we see, there's a little bit of Quake in Doom here. But not in a bad way. I think it kind of works. It kind of fits fairly well. But most importantly, I just love the sounds of these guns. They are Really, id Software, I have to give you a lot of credit for actually doing your homework and making these guns sound powerful and believable. Definitely a massive improvement from Doom Eternal. Then we have this weapon that launches a ball and chain, the chain shot. It's interesting, but I feel it's out of place. I feel it doesn't fit Doom. Quake, yes. Doom, not so much. I could just imagine players singing Miley Cyrus' song, "I Came In Like a Wrecking Ball," while using this gun. However, I think it would be funny just to see an Imp, Hell Knight, or Mancubus getting smacked in the face with this thing. And lastly, this crossbow that fires a green energy arrow called the BFC, or Ballistic Force Crossbow. I guess Corvus Corax walked up to Doomguy and said,
"Here, take my ethereal crossbow. I gave it special enchantments, giving it immense power that can obliterate entire armies of enemies."
Then Doomguy takes it from him and replies,
"You had me at obliterate."
That's pretty much what this weapon is, an ethereal crossbow on massive steroids. I'm not complaining, it's A-OK in my book. I think it's a pretty cool weapon. And we can't forget the elephant in the room, the saw shield. This is interesting. I was a bit skeptical at first, however, after seeing how it can be used, it's not a bad idea. Personally, I would approach this concept a little differently, however, this is still workable. Then we have a power gauntlet which simply beeps up your punch. Not much else to say about it. Then we have the flail. I think while Doomguy was traveling between dimensions, he must have stumbled into Kronos and met Baratus. Doomguy probably wanted Quietus, but Baratus said,
"Here, Doomguy, take this instead. Do not touch my Quietus." Arr!
And lastly, the Dread Mace. While watching gameplay footage, I found it somewhat amusing to see demons just getting whacked in the face with this thing. It's a weird-looking weapon, no doubt, but it packs quite a punch. Looks like it belongs in Soul Calibur, to be quite honest. Characters and enemies. I was a bit skeptical with the character designs at first glance. I'm going to be very honest with you guys. I really am not a big fan of Doomguy's look. When I looked at the concept designs, though, this design I felt would have been better. However, I think it would be a good idea for id Software to have this as an alternate skin choice. Out of all the designs for Doomguy, this one I think is better. There is one thing I did like about Doomguy's appearance, though, his face design. It looks exactly how the mug looked back in the original Doom. I think the 3D modelers did Doomguy justice here. I mean, he looks fantastic and believable. Furthermore, during some of the cutscenes with Doomguy without his helmet, it was nice to see his expressions as they were in the original game. Now, onto the monsters. Most of them look pretty cool. The ones that stood out to me the most are the Imp Stalker, which is the classic Doom Imp. Really, I love the design very much. I think it's really well done. Then the Cyber Demon, which kind of reminds me a bit of the Scar Warlord from Unreal. The Revenant, which looks like a mix between your basic Revenant and the Reaver from Hexen. The Battle Knight. Personally, this is what the Hell Knight should look like as its default design, in my honest opinion. The Cacodemon, however, it looks more like the Octobrain from Duke Nukem 3D. I guess we should call this the Cactobrain? Octocaco? I don't know. To be honest, it's not my favorite design of the Cacodemon. I think id Software should have kept its behavior and design the same, in all honesty. Then we have the Komodo. A lizard man in Doom? Where have we seen that before? Did you guys take inspiration from my Temple of the Lizardmen series? I'd be honored if you did. Then we have the Cosmic Baron. Looks like if the Baron of Hell and Heretic Saberclaw had a baby. A very ugly baby, that is. It's an interesting looking monster, but I'd much prefer the classic Baron of Hell any day. Then we have the Witch.
Hey, how you doing?
Be gone, Thot!
Next we have the Old One. Yep, it's the Call of Cthulhu, the H.P. Lovecraft Doom crossover Sandy Peterson has been waiting for so long, and it's a dream come true for him. And lastly, the Creed Maker.
I got enough you confused. Doomslayer, take some lasagna, some eggplant rollatini, some baked ziti, and some cannolis. I already ate too much. As you can see, I'm stuffed. I need to ride in the Wally floaty chair to get around my ship, I'm so fat.
Gameplay. To start off, I was really pleased to see how fast you can run in Dark Ages. It's close to the original running speed in Classic Doom. To be honest, this is what sold me. If one day I do get a powerful enough computer to run this game, this would be the reason I would consider getting Doom the Dark Ages. Doom is supposed to be grounded and fast. And for those who are setting the game speed at 150%, if you can play Classic Doom well, 150% game speed shouldn't be a problem at all. Overall, the gameplay of Dark Ages seems to be pretty straightforward. However, I do have some thoughts about the mech battle and dragon riding sections. For the mech battle sequence, it looks pretty neat. As mentioned earlier, it wouldn't be a Doom game if it didn't have some guns to blast away some demons with. In this situation, though, we're dealing with actual big freaking guns, like a massive dual-barreled minigun. Hell freaking yeah, man! And then we have this massive flak cannon of sorts you're able to wield, which is pretty cool. Really, I love this gun. And let me tell you, I wish these weapons were normal size so Doomguy could actually wield them in his own hands, on the battlefield. However, the mech battle stuff seems to be somewhat lackluster, but not terrible. I felt this part of the gameplay could have been approached a little differently. It's not bad though, but I think it could be more interesting, like adding in different enemy types other than the Titans. Maybe perhaps add in some enemies like a giant cacodemon, maybe a big spider mastermind, or some maybe demonic dragons or something like that. I feel as though the gameplay needs something other than just bashing Titans in the face with your robot fists, you know what I mean? Now the dragon riding part, that I did have some concerns about. However, after watching gameplay footage of it, I was pleased to see that the dragon could be piloted as if it were a helicopter and not just a jet. I feel this too could have been approached a little differently, however I was pleasantly surprised nevertheless. The dogfight bits I think were the more engaging and exciting aspects of this part of the gameplay. However, the battles with the floating ships I felt were the weakest aspects. In regard to being locked onto particular parts of an enemy ship, I think the players should have more freedom in their movement, a little bit smoother instead of moving around like they were a stick shift in a manual transmission car. I think it would be better if it was set up like those top-down shoot-em-ups where you have the freedom of movement and all you have to do is dodge the enemy's projectile attacks while still keeping a steady stream of firepower on them. Of course, in this case, it would be a third-person shoot-em-up kind of scenario, but I think this would be more engaging as well as challenging if it were to be done this way. Music. One of the concerns many people had for the new Doom game was who was going to do the music since Mick Gordon and id Software had a falling out. It was unfortunate there was a problem, and I won't go too much in detail with it. The music for Dark Ages is not bad. The music was produced by Finishing Move, and he's not too bad at all. The music does fit Dark Ages pretty well. There are some tracks that are nice to listen to, but I would agree that it feels different without Mick Gordon's touch. In my honest opinion, I feel that id Software missed out on an opportunity that could have made Dark Ages even more spectacular. Final thoughts. To wrap up my thoughts, I think id Software's approach to this new Doom game was way better than Doom Eternal's. Personally, I think Doom 2016 had way better execution than Eternal and Dark Ages combined. However, if I had to choose between Dark Ages and Eternal, I most certainly would pick Dark Ages over Eternal any day. Does that mean Dark Ages is the best Doom game ever? No. However, I think id Software still did a decent job. I do want to mention that I don't think I'll be able to play this new Doom game for a while because of the minimum system requirements that are needed to play the game in the first place. Just like with Doom Eternal, the newer id Tech engines require high-performance gaming PCs in order to run successfully. Unfortunately, I don't have a super-powered gaming PC, and even with a budget gaming PC, it's still not enough. For those who are die-hard gamers, many of them own a top-of-the-line gaming PC like Alienware, or have a custom build with the highest-performing graphics card and other high-end hardware. Many everyday people like myself don't have that kind of budget to acquire such powerful machines, especially when those machines cost over $1,000 to $2,000 or even more. So for this new Doom game, I'll have to sit this one out just like I did for Doom Eternal. And this brings me to my biggest gripe with the newer Doom games. It's alienating many fans within the community. There are many Doom fans who cannot afford to get high-end gaming PCs and who feel left out of the fun. Not to say that id Software should be going backward with technology, however, I feel as though the focus on creating high-quality graphics should not outweigh the importance of including most of your fan base. If you look at games like Ion Fury, Dusk, Medieval, Proteus, and other 90s-style inspired shooters, they don't have high-end graphics, however most people can run these games on their computers with no issue. In other words, you can still have a top-quality gaming experience without having fancy graphics. Games don't need to look real, they need to be fun. If I had to give advice to id Software, I would say to focus directly on what made your games great in the first place. They were fun from start to finish, and they could run on the vast majority of computer systems. It's kind of a running joke already to say that the original Doom runs on anything and everything. Why can't the newer Doom games run on most computers? When I play Doom 2016, I don't have the graphics set high. I don't need fancy graphics to play the game. I just need it to run reasonably well that I can enjoy it. So on that note, at least I had a good amount of positive things to say about it, despite I was very skeptical of it when it was first announced. Even though I have seen and heard mixed reviews of the game, most seem to be fairly positive for the most part. It's unfortunate I won't be able to hop in on the fun, but it is what it is, you know? I still enjoy playing the classic games and it never really gets old. Okay, sometimes it does, but it's still great nevertheless. So, does this mean you should or shouldn't buy Doom the Dark Ages? You can do whatever you want. If you want to play the game, go ahead and do so. If it's not your cup of tea, then move on to something that floats your boat. But make sure you stay out of Doomguy's way, though. So that's all for now, folks. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to give it a like, and if you haven't done so already, please hit that subscribe button for more Doom and retro gaming content. And as you know how my outros go, if you're watching this during the day, I wish all of you a good day. If you're watching this during the evening, I wish all of you a good evening. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see all of you in the next video. Take care.